Kia ora again, everybody. We're ready to crack into the next presentation. So, especially for you today, all the way from Papua New Guinea, we've got Alison Holt, Grace Tamu, Dillon-Sainol, and then on Zoom we've got Michael Pokakes as well. I'm just going to quickly introduce Alison, and then she's going to properly introduce everybody else. So, Alison's a New Zealander working for the Papua New Guinea Judiciary as E-Judiciary advisor to the Chief Justice. And she's very accomplished. She's got a Master of Laws from the University of Cumbria. She's been involved in developing the ISO 38505 standard for governance of data standards. For governance of data. And she's also the editor of several books on data governance as well. So, yeah, welcome Alison, and welcome Grace, Dillon, and Michael.
Yeah, thank you. So, in our language, we'd say, and my colleagues will tell me if I've mispronounced it, afternoon? Yeah, afternoon. Top pigeon. Kia ora. It gives me great pleasure to bring the team here to talk about better access to justice. So all four of us work for the Papua New Guinean Judiciary. Dillon here is E-Judiciary Special Projects Officer. Grace, up until recently, was our acting IT director. Michael Pokakes, who is online, is our network manager. So we cross between the development side of data and IT digital services and the operational side. So better access to justice and what that means for the Papua New Guinea Judiciary. So our agenda, we're going to be introducing PNG and Judiciary, and then I'll tag team with my colleagues. We'll talk about our digital journey, our digital delivery, and what we're doing moving forward. But first, I presented in Sweden a few weeks ago, and we had these multiple meetings with the Swedish team to talk about what we were talking about, IT service management and governance and data and stuff. And after 3 weeks, the Swedish team said, we have a very important question that we've been meaning to ask you. And so I said, what is it? No, ask anything. And they said, where is Papua New Guinea? So I'm assuming that maybe you don't all know where Papua New Guinea is. Port Moresby, the capital, which is where all four of us are based, is approximately 3 hours flight from Brisbane and approximately 90 minutes flight from Cairns. So that gives you an idea of where we sit with the top of Australia. PNG is a Commonwealth country. When you look at the stats, it's quite interesting to see that we're approximately twice the land size of New Zealand and approximately twice the population. Where New Zealand has 3 official languages, we have over 850 not official languages, but languages. So imagine the complication of translation and transcription in the courts. Noteworthy animals, of course, Wellingtonians have got Mittens, the cat. We have far more exciting animals like crocodiles and dugongs and tree kangaroos. Our justice systems are very similar. We have the Supreme Court and what you call the High Court, we call the National Court. We've got legislation in place to put in a Court of Appeal. The other sort of big difference is that obviously both judiciaries, the New Zealand Judiciary and the PNG Judiciary, are independent arms of government. The New Zealand Judiciary is supported by services from the Ministry of Justice, whereas we have our National Judiciary Staff Services within the Judiciary. So we're part of National Judiciary Staff Services working to support IT, digital services, and we have colleagues in finance and HR and all the other support services for a judiciary. So delivering justice in Papua New Guinea is a challenge. These are just cuttings that I took from 1 week's of newspapers in Port Moresby. of the sort of things that are going on all the time. So there's a big caseload, and anything we can do to make the resolution of cases more efficient, more effective, anything we can do to support our judges actually assist in the delivery of justice in Papua New Guinea. And then finally, just before my colleagues start, the 3 points on the map of Papua New Guinea show where everybody comes from. So Dillon here is from Wewak. Michael, who's online, is from Manus at the top. And Grace here is from Anga, which is sort of in the middle of the country. So I'll hand over to Grace.
Thank you, Alison. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grace Tamu, and I will be taking you through the digital journey of PNG Judiciary. So our journey began in 2007 with 3 systems. So we have the case docketing system, which is a system used to store scanned documents and is part of a case file and provides the status of court data. So the second one, we have for the record, which is an audio recording system that our court uses. The third one is PNG sentencing database, which is our homegrown system that contains sentencing case data for our courts. So moving on, we took on 2 case management systems. The first one being the integrated criminal case database, which is a system used to track and manage criminal cases. And the second one, we have the integrated electronic case management system, which deals with our civil cases. So moving on, we have our productivity services, which we use Office Microsoft 365 for file storage, video conferencing, and those are the collaboration tools that we use for video conferencing and voice. Also built on Microsoft Dynamics is our HR and finance system, which we call the JSIMS. So further along the way, we took on, for connectivity, we have our satellite project, which is used for connectivity to improve connectivity for PNG Judiciary, and also PNG Center of Judicial Excellence, which is one of our units, our division that coordinates judicial training for PNG and the Pacific Islands. So for information resources and digital innovations, my colleague Dillon will further elaborate on this when it comes, so I won't touch on that. So moving on, we have our challenges that we have faced during our journey through digitization. So the first one is natural disasters. For instance, we had an earthquake measuring a magnitude of 7.7 last month in Papua New Guinea that affected the submarine cables, fiber optic submarine cables that in turn affected connectivity for the whole of Papua New Guinea. So also we have strong winds, rains, but one good example was last month when the earthquake happened. So the second one is cybersecurity threats. So, cyber security threats such as viruses, malware, ransomware that can cripple our system. So we had our share of that as well. The third challenge is unstable power. So with infrastructure and all that, we're not quite there yet. Maybe unlike New Zealand, where power is an ongoing issue for us, unstable power, so a few blackouts here and there during the week. So that's one of our challenges. The fourth one, lack of digital infrastructure, so which includes physical structures, a lack of physical structures for high-speed internet access and mobile networks. The fifth challenge is digital literacy. So, not everyone you expect them to understand and use digital services that are provided effectively and efficiently. It's you need to get the users to, yes, that's a challenge because they have to understand how to use digital services. So moving on, we have how the judiciary is addressing the challenges. So the first one being network redundancy. So we have the judiciary has a couple of ISPs. So when one goes down, we can switch over to the next one to provide network services. Secondly, security perimeter. So with this one, it's to address the cybersecurity threats. So we're securing our system with strong firewall, antivirus, and also additionally training our users on the best practices of cyber security. So the third one to address our unstable power issues is we have backup generators for our equipment, our courthouses, UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies for our PCs. And we're also looking into solar options for our remote sites where they experience a lot of power issues. So the third one, expansion, network expansion for the judiciary. So that will address the lack of digital infrastructure for our organization. So we have the satellite. We're working on our satellite project that will provide network connectivity for all our provinces, our courthouses in the provinces. So the fourth one, to address digital literacy. Lack of digital literacy is basically training. So we're looking into training our judges, our users, our court, and also the public in how to effectively use the digital services that the judiciary provides for them. So thank you all. And now I introduce Michael Pokakes, who is online, and he will take you through the digital delivery. Not sure if it's online.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Okay. I was planning to present in a courtroom. However, we have a Supreme Court week. Thus, all the courtrooms are fully booked. So I'm in one of our training rooms to complete this presentation. All right. Why is digital inclusion so necessary that we feel the need of connecting, sharing, and learning? As our culture influence digitization, I will be sharing our experience with digital inclusion and elaborate more on the significant values that it has added to the judiciary and how it has assist in providing efficient and effective judicial service to the people of Papua New Guinea. Why is digital inclusion vital in the judiciary? Well, the core function of judges and the judiciary is to provide a timely dispensation of the justice through the cases that are brought before the court. The aim of the judiciary is to provide efficient and effective judicial service to the people of Papua New Guinea. So the judiciary is also tasked on issuing out end devices or updated end devices to our users to assist with their work. All our courts database and applications that are listed below are on cloud, except for case docketing system that is housed on premises. Thus, having internet connectivity is necessary for the staff to have access to those systems. We have 21 national and Supreme Courts around PNG, which are holding back to Port Moresby using our primary connection, that is a submarine fiber transmission network that are operated by PNG Data Co, which is a state-owned enterprise. Easy access to justice to all people of Papua New Guinea at all levels of the community is one of the judiciary's mission, and that has been a challenge for the E-Judiciary team and the IT team to extend or expand the digital infrastructure to the remote parts of the country. And also, we are located around the Ring of Fire, as a recent earthquake has affected our primary connection and has limited access to the internet for our users at the provincial sites. To address that issue, the judiciary has implemented satellite connectivity as a redundant link to expand the coverage to the remote parts of the country and act as a redundant link for our primary whenever it goes offline or is affected. Digital inclusion will be problematic when we expand into ICCSD and ICMS. Thus, there's some questions that we are working on or to address it. That is to expand the network or subscribe for additional ISPs, increase the bandwidth to cater for those anticipated increase of traffic. During the network session, you can catch up with the team. And if you have any idea to assist us, please, you can share it with the team that are in New Zealand. Next slide. So digital inclusion has enabled digital collaboration. So during the COVID-19, back in 2019, we were forced to use digital tools to assist the courts and to save time. And as a preventative measure for COVID-19 as well, we are not allowing a lot of audience in the courtrooms. Thus, Microsoft Teams and Zooms, which are collaborative tools that has assisted the judiciary. It has also resolved physical infrastructure issues. For example, instead of bringing the prisoners to the courtrooms, they can be connected from the correctional facilities to the courtroom via those collaborative tools. And the schedule of the courts are also done using collaborative tools and are circulated out to the users and the court officials. Slide. Digital diversity is one of the big challenges in PNG, especially in a country that has 800 plus languages. So to address that, we have interpreters or translators in all the courtrooms during virtual courts or normal court hearing. They are there to translate languages to official language for the purpose of recordings in the courtrooms. We also provide accessibility to justice for disability people. So instead of coming to the courthouse, they can lodge their cases from anywhere using ICMS or our court systems. We have customer service agents also in place to assist the digitally challenged people in lodging their cases. Next slide. The graph shows the impact of digital inclusion in judiciary. So this is the judgment from 2002 to 2012 that dispensed or disposed to the courts. You can see that the rate is steady and all cases are below 200 from 2002 to 2012. Click next. So from 2013 to 2022, that's when judiciary went into or dive into digital inclusion. We started building our infrastructure, integrating the systems that we have. You can see that there's an increase in case disposition, and also it has increased by 100% the dispensation of the cases. So that is all for me. Dillon will elaborate more on our future plans, the projects that we are working on and projects that we will be working on in the future to provide effective and efficient justice to the people of Papua New Guinea. Thank you. Thank you, Dillon.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. Or as Alison has said, Avinun Truluipla. Okay. My bit is not as interesting as Michael's and Grace, but I'll just quickly run through some of the projects that we are working on and some of our future projects. Good. Firstly, as Alison has mentioned, we are the E-Judiciary team, apart from Michael and Grace. Michael and Grace are the normal operations, IT operations. We are more responsible for the research and development, strategy, all this other stuff. Okay. All right. The first project that I'm going to share with you is we're working on is Microsoft Power Platform. We have started with the HR and finance systems through Dynamics 365. And we are now working on implementing other stuff such as common data services and including all other corporate services, functions such as transport, inventory, and support services. I heard that there's a little bit of opposition against Microsoft 365. Yesterday, someone asked me, what's your plans for the next 10 years if Microsoft doesn't exist? I said, oh, we didn't think about that one. So it's a good one. All right. So that's one of our plans we are doing now, and we are going to continue to move ahead and proceed from there. The next one is the virtual courts. we have no plans to do virtual courts a few years back, but since COVID, this has become one of the most used tool in the judiciary. So we were lucky to get Microsoft 365 in 2019, just before COVID. And when COVID came, people were able to work from home and do virtual courts and all this other stuff. So it's not we are not yet we haven't like totally settled on the technology to use and all this. We are still trialing our technologies, both the software and hardware, but we are still collaborating with other partners, such as the New Zealand, New South Wales courts, to see what works best for them, and we are sharing ideas and stuff. So this is one of the projects that we are working on. All right. The next project is the judges portal. Judges, they don't like too many technical stuff. And we are giving them so many technical stuff to play around with. So to make it easier for them, we have created a judges portal. Okay, this one gives them access to all the other applications, a single sign-on, and the links, calculators. A calculator is used for calculating damages, so they could quickly calculate interest on damages and stuff. Notebooks, training links, notifications, and access to other platforms such as judges' bench books and other systems that we are using as well. All right, a digital bench book. If you haven't been in a courtroom, a bench book is what the judge used to assist them in disposition of a case. It contains X rules, procedures, landmark cases, and etc. So the judge refers to them in order for them to make decisions in the court. So we are digitizing the bench book to give them quicker access to updating the bench book. Updating the bench book is very important because if a judge goes to the bench book, a physical bench book, he or she will be referring to a case that's been the decision that was made a year ago, if last year was the last year updated. But digitizing it makes he or she can access the latest version of the case or a landmark case that she can refer to in order to give a better judgment. Okay, faster access to content, sets and annotations, save and access historical data. Judges like to study through their cases and know how they end up somewhere. So, and access to other court applications as well. Oh, these next two are still in the prototype stage. So, Pierre Andrews, sorry, don't be mad. We are still, this is not in operations yet. We are still developing it. Because we are the third arm of the government, we are not constrained to some budget limits, so we have little cash to play around. So yeah. All right. Our sentencing engine is developed by the Manukau Institute of Technology students, and it is used to not to give a judgment, but to give a range of sentencing range for judges, so they could quickly refer to it and make their judgment or go back to it for confirmations and stuff. So it was developed back in, we started developing it back in 2020, if I'm correct, 2020, and still in its prototype stage. Prototype stage, sorry. All right, we need more training and input of metadata to increase the accuracy. We need more training and awareness on people. Because once we say AI, some of us know AI. Some people, they say robots. So, there's different types of AI. Yeah, you guys know. All right, and rules, legislations, policies, all those needs to be developed before we start to, we are able to use it. But as listening to Pia, I think there's a lot more we need to look at it. So, yeah, thank you. All right, we developed it using the CPED's principles. The most important one there is under user control. Always, the human factor is very important. So if you don't know about the CPED's control, you can Google it and learn more about it. Thank you. Oh, the next one is digital bail. We've been developing digital bail for bailies, okay, to track people who are not in prisons, okay. So we have two prototypes. One is developed here in New Zealand by Mr. Ian Hasty. I met him yesterday, wonderful person. Yeah, we have the smaller one is to be used on the wrist, and the bigger one is for the ankles. The smaller ones have, I think, 2 days maximum battery life, which is a bit not what we want. But the bigger one has 20 days, which is enough for us to write policies and stuff around it and just test it out. So the second one is, this one is developed in Sydney, but it's too big that who wants to carry a big thing around your back? So you might as well stay in jail and don't come out. Yeah, so that's it. That's all the projects we're working on. I don't have much time, so if you're interested in whatever we have presented, Michael, Grace, myself, Alison, you can come and talk to us during the networking session in the afternoon. We came here purposely to learn, and we have learned tons on our short visit here since at Wednesday morning. So we had a chance to visit the justice, police, and the IT professionals of New Zealand. What else? Yeah, and so many lovely people as well. So thank you. Thank you very much. We are available outside if you need to know more about what we are working on or need to ask why my hair is shorter than Grace. Okay, come see us later. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well, there's only one question here so far, and it might have been asked by me. So we don't want this to be like local government, people just winning by default. So get your questions in there. Afternoon tea is maybe starting out there, but let's just try and get at least 2 questions in really quickly. So the question that I asked was, and maybe Dillon, you answered this a little bit. Did COVID-19 have any impact on your work or on the PNG justice system? And then how did you respond?
It was fantastic for us, actually. That's an awful thing to say, isn't it, about a global pandemic? But there are a lot of things we were on the cusp of doing, and COVID-19 just helped us bring those into reality. So part our connectivity solutions, as Dillon was saying, we just put in Office 365. So we were good to go with virtual courts. So actually, although it was a sad time for the country, for the judiciary, it was a chance for us to take that giant step into digital services. Mm-hmm. Oh, Chris.
Oh, we've got one more question. We've got a couple more just coming in. I'll just go from what's on the top here for me. How do you govern your AI projects?
Oh, who wants to answer? So as Dillon mentioned, we look for governance models. I've written a book on data governance, but we're looking specifically for governance of AI, governance of digital systems within a judiciary context. So we found it very useful looking to the European, the CPEG principles that Dillon sort of flashed through as being principles that really we can align to. And we use the principles to guide our decision making. So any decision we make, does it meet all those principles? So that's how what's been taking us through our prototype phases. But at the moment, we're actually working on the bigger information and data governance framework for the judiciary, which will take in a wider view of governance. And certainly some of the things Pia said really resonated with us because, yes, we can see that's exactly the sort of problems we can see if we don't have good data governance in place.
Great. And whoever asked that question, if you're in the room, feel free to come and collect a little badge at the end. One more, because we'll better go to afternoon tea, but grab these guys afterwards. If we've got any network engineers in the room, it sounds like they'd appreciate a chat with you in particular. So last question here. What feedback are you getting from the judges around the implementation and the shift to digital? And I've never worked in the justice sector here in New Zealand, but from what I hear, our judges probably have a similar level of technology literacy and enthusiasm as your ones.
I think we're really fortunate in that we can have all of us can have a direct conversation with the judges, and judges are supremely very bright and intelligent people. They might not have a lot of time for digital, but they're very keen for anything that helps them resolve cases. So we've had some very positive feedback and support. We get requests that make us think that our judges are very much aligned to what we're doing. So we had a request from one of the judges around the country to put a satellite dish at one of the prisons so that he could video conference with his prisoners rather than bring his prisoners in from the prison. We had another of our judges who was out on circuit and was using the judges portal and realised he could reach his cases for the first time, from the jungle, basically. So, yeah, so we've had a lot of support, a lot of assistance, and I think we're very lucky that a lot of our judges are, some of our judges are tech savvy and really see that as part of the future for the judiciary. One thing I just want to correct from Dillon. The second digital bail prototype he showed, it is a massive device, but the idea is to make something that's the size of a Fitbit. So we're not really going to put Baileys out with an iPad strapped to their arm, but yeah. Right. But please ask us other questions. Like we're here from P&G. We've come especially, and we're here to learn, but we're also here to share what our experience as well.
Yeah. Don't leave until you've had a chat. Don't leave the conference until you've talked to these guys. Thanks again, everyone. Yeah. And thank you for coming all this way.